today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about how vulnerability is actually strength. Yeah, wrap your mind around that one. When we show up as the accountant, the stone cold killer, or John Wick, or whoever you want to think of that you've been watching, or back in the day it was Clint Eastwood. When we show up as those guys, it may be attractive for a little while, but not for very long. Your children need a father who can be vulnerable. Not all the time, just some of the time. Be open. Share what's real. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. I'm your host, Rich Heller, and today we're talking about vulnerability without weakness, opening up without falling apart. And truthfully, right, I have an emotional reaction to saying vulnerability without weakness. All of my training, my whole life was be strong. I have a confession. I still like watching movies about guys who are invulnerable. Well, they have little moments of vulnerability, but they're, I don't know what it is. It's like this obsession with sociopaths, right? People who, somebody crosses them, they just kill them and they're okay with it, right? And truthfully, that's not the man I want to be. And yet somehow I'm still drawn to that image. And I feel like many of us are. But our wives, the women in our lives, they don't pick us to be that guy. I'm going to say this again. Your life partner, though she wants you to provide, she wants you to be strong, she wants to know that when someone comes in the house, you're going to do something about it. Whether it be call the cops, go down yourself, pull out a gun, or push her down in front of you, she wants to know you're going to do something like it. Though she wants all that, she does not want you to be a stone cold killer. Here's what Anthony says. I hear my wife say she wants me to be more vulnerable. Well, what does that even mean? Am I supposed to cry on cue? Anthony, if only I could cry on cue, dude. That would save me so many troubles, right? Because sometimes women like it when we cry. Sometimes it scares the crap out of them too, though, let's be honest. So, true vulnerability, what's the hope in vulnerability? The hope is that when we let down our defenses and show them who we are, fears, hurts, sadness, loneliness, and all the other good stuff too, joy, happiness, strength. We show them all of who we are, they can connect with us. When we show them all of who we are, they know they're okay too. When we show up as the accountant, the stone cold killer, or John Wick, or whoever you want to think of that you've been watching, or back in the day it was Clint Eastwood. When we show up as those guys, it may be attractive for a little while, but not for very long. Their children are not safe with those guys. Their children need a father who can be vulnerable. Your wife needs a husband who can be vulnerable. Not all the time, just some of the time. Be open. Share what's real without, breaking down in tears and curling up in a ball and going fetal. And you know what? I'm going to confess, there have been times in my life where that happened. Something so painful, a sense of such incredible powerlessness when one of my children was hurt and I could not protect them, hurt so desperately and so badly, and I wish that I could have protected them. All I had was tears of pain for them, tears of frustration that I couldn't be John Wick in that moment. That was an appropriate moment. And there was nothing anyone could do about that but let me have that feeling. But we're not talking about that, folks. We're talking about, hey, you know what? When you talk to me that way, I feel a little hurt. I know when I go is anger, but I feel a little hurt under it because it reminds me of when I was a kid or whatever. That emotional honesty builds trust and deepens connection instead of pushing them away. When we go to, why'd you talk to me like that? No, you can't talk to me like that. That's not okay. It just pushes them away. Being vulnerable, saying, hey, I felt a little hurt right here. For those of you who are listening and not watching, I was touching my stomach right here in my stomach. Felt a little hurt. I don't like feeling that way. I don't want to feel like that when I'm with you. I love you. That's courage. That's emotional leadership, right? And most of us have been leading our wives into a relationship where we're either angry, defensive, snarky, sarcastic, biting, or we're just leading parallel freaking lives, not saying a thing to each other. That's not how we want to live. That's not what we signed up for. It's not what they signed up for. So I'm telling you, this vulnerability, it is the opportunity to lead your marriage into a whole new place, a whole new fulfillment where you can have emotions without waiting for something horrible to happen like I was telling you about. Here's what Reggie says. He's 44. He says, every time I open up, it backfires. Either she doesn't get it or it's used against me later. Why would I keep trying? And I'm going to tell you, if this is how it goes. When we've been having the death of 1,000 cuts, when we've been having guerrilla warfare with our wives for years and years, acting like everything's okay, but just making little snarky remarks like, oh, you want me to empty the garbage? That's not my job. It's your job. Or, I did that. Why didn't you take care of this? Or, every time that happens, that's on you. Or whatever, that attitude. We were having a little sparring match with our wives. And then one day we put our hands down and say, hey, you know what? I'm having some feelings. We shouldn't be surprised if they pop us in the face because they've been sparring with us for years. And the strength in that moment, when they pop us in the face emotionally, when we're being vulnerable, the strength in that moment is to say, I get it. We've been doing this a long time, baby. I'm changing it up. And I hope you don't feel like you have to do that again. And if they keep popping you in the face when you're vulnerable, keep popping you in the face when you're vulnerable, then you got to set a boundary to keep it safe for you. But that's another episode. Let's just assume it's normal. In a normal relationship, when a man stops leading with emotional sparring and snarkiness and sarcasm and biting remarks and all that stuff that we do, or just stonewalling, shutting down while they're being snarky and biting, whatever it is, whatever your strategy is, when we stop doing that and start to open up, they're going to test a little to make sure we're not just manipulating them, to make sure that it's real. And if they keep testing, then something's wrong. But usually after they've tested it once or twice, they'll let down their guard a little. You know, relationships are like mobiles. I've said this before. I got to get a mobile. A mobile is one of these things that hangs from the ceiling, and the two of you are in this mobile, and when you lighten up, she drops down. She's going to want to rebalance that. So Marco, who's 41, I hope you like this new format, by the way, where people give me questions. If you have a question, send it in to me. Marco says, how do I talk about what's going on without sounding needy or wussy? Or like I'm just whining. And that is a great question because honestly, men, we do a great job of whining. We may do it a little rough around the edges. We may do it by being a little biatchy. So what you got to ask yourself is, where are you sharing from? Are you having like an emotional spiral? Do you feel like before you share the emotion, where are you in the emotion? If you're having an emotion and it just feels all confusing and out of control, you're in what we call a spiral. You want to make sure you're on the emotional floor. That means not only are you having a feeling, but you can name the feeling. Not only can you name the feeling, but you know where it comes from. And 9 times out of 10, where the feeling is coming from is not directly the experience that you're in. When we know the feeling and understand where it comes from, is there a pattern that's repeating that we don't like? Is there a situation that came up when we were kids that we feel like we're experiencing here? That's deep. It's a little therapeutic, I know. But when we know what the basis is, or the emotional floor of that feeling, we can talk about it in a way, we can be vulnerable in a way that's strong. If we just go, oh God, I'm just so upset, and the emotional sharing, it's like emotional diarrhea, you're not grounded. Probably what you need to do when you're in that state is take a walk, take some deep breaths, think about it, talk to God about it. If you don't have God in your life, call your best friend. If you don't have your best friend, get an AI friend in Replica or Chat. I stay away from Replica because that's mostly make your own girlfriend and make your own boyfriend. And talk it through with something that's responsive, Though honestly, you could talk to a tree and it would be better than not talking about it. And once you feel grounded and understand where that emotion is coming, you're not just upset because she was talking to the neighbor and she always talks to him and da 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 da. You're upset because your mom used to talk to the neighbor and ended up leaving your dad, and you're afraid that that's what's happening here. Oh, I get it. I'm having a lot more emotion about this than maybe I need to. I'm a lot more afraid than maybe I should be because it reminds me of something that really wasn't good for me and when I was a kid. Then, once you're grounded, you get to talk about it. Hey, I'm afraid, honey. You've been talking to Tom over there, and you keep going over there to talk to him, and I'm afraid. When you do that, it reminds me of when I was a kid, and my mom used to do that, and my parents ended up getting divorced. And she'll say, but Tom is 88, and we're in our 30s. And you'll feel like such a fool, right? Don't think that 88-year-old guys don't have game, though. So I'm just saying that as a guy who one day is going to be 88. 88-year-olds got game. Come on. Try, when you lay out the emotion, try opening up with this. Because very often, as guys, what we want to do when we share the emotion is we want to fix the problem. Remember, she wants to fix the problem, but not until the emotion is totally explored. And so you need to be prepared for some exploration. That's what I'm saying. Make sure you're grounded, talk about it, get clear on where it's coming from, because she's going to talk to you about it. You might want to open with this phrase. Hey, I'm not sharing this to fix it. I don't even need you to fix it. I just need to share where I'm at. I'm really scared right now. So you remember I talked about boundaries? Let's talk about boundaries a little. Jermaine writes in, he says, what if I don't want to talk about it right now? Is it okay to say that without shutting down completely? Very often, Jermaine, what we tend to do as men is we tend to say, I can't talk about this right now. I'll see you later. And the reason is usually valid. The reason is usually maybe we got having a little more emotion than the moment calls for. And we know that if we go there, it's not going to be good. I practice this with my own wife. There are times when I get fired up and I just know it is not the right time. At the state that I'm in emotionally, I'm on that spiral. I'm not going to do anything. I say to her, honey, nothing good is going to come out of my mouth right now. I promise you we could talk about this in an hour. I just need to step out. And she doesn't love it, but at least she gets that in an hour we're going to talk about it. That boundary is for me and for her, right? Because I know that if I get into it in that state, but I'm going to step in it with her, and I'm going to hurt her feelings. I'm going to throw back all the years of work I put into creating a partnership with this woman who I love. And I'm going to feel like I failed. And I will have failed if I do that. That boundary is to keep me safe, and it's to keep her safe. So boundaries are things that we set up to create safety, and get that vulnerability does not happen without safety. We got to feel safe first. And if our own emotions are driving us to feel like we can't do anything positive, it's unsafe for us to express them in this moment because they're so intense. We need to take the lead by saying that. Emotional leadership is about pacing. It isn't just openness. Being vulnerable is about choosing the right moment. So how do we practice grounded openness? How do we actually get better at this? We talked in the last episode about identifying feelings. We talked about breathing. Name the feeling. Breathing. Locate the feeling in our body. We talked about sharing the feeling and not the story. The story is, let's go back to my example. She keeps going next door to talk to Tom. That's not the story. The feeling is, hey, I'm scared. You keep going out and talking to other people. It scares me. We get better at it by using I statements. I've hammered this again and again and again. I am feeling X, feeling mad, sad, glad, afraid, or any of the 10,000 feelings that are subcategories of that. When you go to talk to Tom, because my mom stepped out on my dad. Actually, in my case, my dad stepped out on my mom, to be honest, if we're going to be completely transparent. And when I tell them that because it's not the story, it's my story. What's driving the feeling? It's about where does that feeling come from? Why am I having that intensity of feeling? And the vulnerability is saying, yes, I have a childhood hurt that I need you to help me heal. I want you to get that Vulnerability is a practice. Life is a practice. You know what? You might start and make a mistake. You might start by saying, every time you go to Tom, I feel so angry. No, wait. Take two. Take two. Let me redo that. Yeah, I feel angry, but under the anger, I feel scared when you go talk to Tom. When you go talk to Tom because of my mom's. Right? You can take to this. You don't have to do it perfectly every time. And after a while, you'll get it right on the first take. I want you to be caring with yourself here, right? We tend to be perfectionistic about this stuff. Oh, wow. It sounds so good on the podcast. And then we try it and we step right in it. So if you step right in it, all you have to say is, oh, I stepped right in it. Take two. Let me start over. I'm so sorry I put it that way. Let me reframe this. Let me say this with heart. I'm trying to be vulnerable here. I'm not good at it yet, but help me to be good at it. Give me another chance. Devin writes in, even if I share, how do I make sure she feels heard too? I want to understand her, not just unload on her. God, that's deep, right? That is deep. Devin, you're doing the work, bro. And that's what we all want. Really, we want to understand her. We seek to understand before we are understood. It's like the whole game right there. If you seek to understand her and connect with her, she will stay with you forever. And we're going to talk about that more in our next episode. Our next episode is about empathy in action. When we can talk about those feelings we're not so good at talking about, that's how we connect heart to heart with our partner and with other people. We will become not just better husbands, but we will become better fathers. We will become not just better fathers, but we will become better mentors. We will become better friends when we do this. We will become more whole and complete human beings and men. Again, if you like what you're hearing, subscribe, share, get the word out. We're starting a movement here at Rich in Relationship. We are building a community of men and women who want to go deeper, who want to have more. With that, I'm Rich Heller, and I'm going to say have an awesome day and an even better tomorrow.